We live in the era of endless choice. Swipe left, swipe right, scroll, match, ghost, repeat. Every app promises freedom, the freedom to explore, to select, to never settle. And yet, with all this freedom, why do we feel more alone than ever? They told us love would be easier if we were freer, that if we were no longer tied down by religion, family pressure, or tradition, we would finally love for the right reasons. But instead something broke. We run from intimacy while craving connection. We fear being trapped, but ache to be seen. We chase novelty, but collapse from emotional exhaustion. So today we ask, is modern romance failing, not because of lack of love, but because we've given love too much room to die? Freedom was supposed to liberate us. But maybe, just maybe, it also shattered the structure love needs to survive. Erich Fromm, the humanist philosopher, believed that love is an art. Not a feeling, not a fairy tale, but a skill. And like any art, it demands effort, commitment, and discipline. For Fromm, the problem isn't too little freedom. It's too much selfishness disguised as freedom. But Alain de Botton, the modern romantic realist, offers a counterpoint. He says love is still possible, but only if we stop idealizing it. According to de Botton, love is a painful, often boring, repetitive project. And that's why it's beautiful. This episode is not about nostalgia. It is about collision between two radically different visions of love. And between them, the question that haunts modern intimacy. Did we kill love by making freedom our god? Welcome to Thinking War. We live in an age where love is limitless, swiping left, matching right, exploring open relationships, polyamory, non-monogamy, solo poly. Freedom has never been so abundant. But has that abundance killed the very thing it was supposed to liberate? Once, love was tethered to commitment, to constraint. You met someone, you stayed. Through boredom, temptation, crisis. It wasn't perfect, but it was stable, predictable, perhaps even sacred. Now love must compete with infinite novelty. It must be more exciting than the next option, more emotionally intelligent than your therapist, more thrilling than your Instagram feed. We say we want freedom, but freedom from what? From routine, or from responsibility, from limitation, or from the work love requires. Enter Erich Fromm, the prophet of paradox. He saw freedom as both salvation and sickness. In The Art of Loving, he warned, modern man escapes into freedom, only to drown in isolation. Love, to him, was an act, not a feeling, a decision, a discipline. And then comes Alain de Botton, the architect of modern emotional intelligence. For him, love is not a destiny, but a design. A relationship is not something you find, it's something you build. It's not spontaneous combustion, it's domestic engineering. This war, between desire and duty, between options and depth, has shaped the modern romantic battlefield. And now we must ask, are we freer, or just more alone? And most importantly, can love survive when nothing holds it in place? Love has become a state rather than an action in the modern world. Fromm demolishes this passivity. According to him, love is not something we feel, but something we do. In other words, love does not just happen, it is made. And making it requires time, attention, patience, and discipline. According to Fromm, modern love is full of escapes under the guise of freedom. Independence is idolized instead of true commitment. People do not want to love, they want to be loved. Because loving requires responsibility. Because loving means seeing the other as they are, and showing the will to stay by their side. Today's human, however, seeks approval, not love. And thus, instead of love, approval dependency arises. Love is an art, says Fromm, and like any art, it requires effort. However, modern man looks at love not as an effort, but as a comfort. While trying to find the ideal lover in our minds, we shy away from the effort of building a real relationship. According to Fromm, this is the demise of love. Fromm also focuses on the tension between freedom and love. According to him, there are two types of freedom: freedom from and freedom with. The former isolates, the latter connects. The modern individual seeks relationships to avoid loneliness, but fears connection. Therefore, they experience loneliness under the guise of freedom, rather than love within freedom. Love is a unifying force, but only for those who sacrifice their ego. According to Fromm, love is not surrender, but sharing responsibility. And this is not the loss of freedom, it is its highest form. Do you know what the greatest tragedy of modern man is? It is that he is hungry for love, but has never learned to love. And this ignorance corrodes not only hearts but also the fabric of society. In Fromm's world, love is not an individual adventure, it is an ethical duty. If you love someone, you serve their existence. Their well-being takes precedence over your comfort, because true love is measured by self-sacrifice, not by demand. Love is not the opposite of freedom, but freedom can destroy love. Alain de Botton's approach addresses precisely this dilemma. Modern love begins with freedom, but often ends in loneliness. Because freedom can turn into an escape from responsibility, and a mind that escapes cannot learn to commit. De Botton's idea parallels Fromm's in saying that modern humans seek self-realization through individualization. But under the guise of individualization, they are being swept into a desert of loneliness. True love is born when two people choose to commit to each other. But today, this choice is drowned in endless possibilities. De Botton's theory challenges the romantic love myth. According to him, love is not a sudden, overwhelming emotion. It is a discipline built slowly over time. The mistake modern humans make is this: we construct love as a fantasy. We wait for someone to complete us. Yet love is not about finding a missing piece. It is about acknowledging our incompleteness and building together. Alain says, love is not something that happens to us. It is something we choose, work on, and nurture. In this view, love is an act of labor. It involves patience, conflict, and disappointment. But despite all this, it involves choosing to stay. The fundamental flaw in the modern understanding of freedom is defining love as a free choice, but confusing this freedom with irresponsibility. De Botton says that true love arises from constructive commitment. In other words, love is not just about choosing, it is about building after choosing. In modern relationships, when people grow tired of each other, they think they are not with the right person. But the real problem is not being able to build the right relationship. According to de Botton, what sustains love is not the right person, it is building the right structures together. And perhaps love is not sacrificing freedom, but the ability to transform freedom into something else. In Alain de Botton's teachings, love is a discipline. It is not the result of a spontaneous emotion, but a conscious decision. It is lived with the courage to say, I choose you today. In short, modern love is not lost because it is too free. It is lost because it does not know how to use that freedom. Erich Fromm's discipline-based love clashes with Alain de Botton's emphasis on conscious choice. The two systems of thought do not merely conflict with each other. They address different eras, different heartbeats, different crises. But there is common ground, the lostness of modern man. For Fromm, love is the effort to overcome one's own loneliness. Love is an art, he says. It is something that must be learned, worked on, an act of will. There is sacrifice in love, but this is not self-sacrifice. It means managing one's selfish desires. True love is an act in which a person accepts themselves as they are, but also dares to transform themselves. De Botton applies Fromm's ideals to today's chaotic relationship system. For him, love is not the fantasy portrayed by Hollywood, but the patience of everyday life. Modern love is not about not falling, but about learning to get up together when you fall. In this journey woven with mistakes, boring moments, and recurring crises, the real issue is to nurture continuity, not passion. This is where the question arises. Why can't we manage love today? Fromm says it is because we don't work hard enough. It is because we approach love as entertainment, not as work. De Botton says it's because we wait for the right love, but we don't strive to be the right person. In one, love is labor. In the other, love is awareness. But in both, love is the child of effort, not of naturalness. And here is the question that must be asked. Have we only wanted to be loved, or have we truly tried to learn how to love? In the age of Tinder, open relationships, and dating apps that reward swipes over substance, modern romance stands at a precipice. Erich Fromm warned us, when love becomes another consumer product, we stop cultivating it. We start shopping for it. Algorithms decide who we meet. Convenience trumps commitment. And in this digital jungle, effort becomes optional. We ghost. We breadcrumb. We orbit. We keep people just in case. Not because we're evil, because we can. Because there are always more options. Because the illusion of infinite choice makes depth feel disposable. But Alain de Botton sees this chaos and doesn't mourn it. He sees opportunity. In a world drunk on spontaneity, he reminds us that love must be practiced, not pursued. That romance is not a spark, but a system. One that includes scheduling, compromise, mundane repetition, and choosing the same person over and over, when everything around you screams for novelty. Social media has commodified desire. Instagram thirst traps, subtle DMs, curated personas. All of it creates a stage where fantasy outperforms reality. The result? Real relationships struggle to compete with filtered versions of potential ones. Fromm's critique of capitalism as a destroyer of intimacy has never felt more relevant. We sell images of love. We sell self-help about love. We sell love as a lifestyle. But we rarely live it, because living love means giving something up: control, freedom, time, self. And in a culture where the self is sacred and the ego is king, sacrifice feels like heresy. So where does that leave us? With a generation terrified of commitment and addicted to connection. With love songs about longing and dating profiles that hide fear. With weddings that celebrate union and divorce rates that mock it. This isn't just a relationship problem, it's an identity crisis. Because to love today is to resist a culture that tells you to never settle, never compromise, never stay. The war isn't just between people. It's within us. Between our hunger for intimacy and our terror of dependency. Between our desire for freedom and our longing to be chosen. Modern love is gaslit by freedom. And unless we confront the cost of that freedom, we'll continue to trade connection for comfort and wonder why we feel so alone. So ask yourself, are you free or just uncommitted? Are you in love or just afraid to be alone? Because in a world of infinite choices, love is the ultimate rebellion. We began by asking if modern romance has been sabotaged by freedom. Too many options, too much choice, and too little discipline. And now we end by asking, what does it mean to love in a world where freedom is worshipped and effort is feared? From believed love is an art, a discipline cultivated through patience, responsibility, and commitment. That true love begins not when you are consumed by someone, but when you grow through loving them. Freedom, he said, is not the absence of ties, but the ability to choose your ties wisely. De Botton agreed, but added this: love is not just choosing someone once. It is re-choosing them every day. Not because you have to, but because you've seen the alternatives and still believe in the project of us. So now, the question is yours to answer. Are you falling in love, or just escaping loneliness? Are you choosing someone, or just reacting to the fear of being alone? In the age of endless profiles, instant messages, and fragile attention spans, what does it mean to stay? Because freedom gives you the right to swipe, but love asks if you'll stop. If you've ever wanted something deeper, if you've ever longed for a bond that doesn't dissolve under pressure, then ask yourself, are you ready to work for love, or just fantasize about it?